Welcome, Book Mint listeners, to another exciting journey into the world of transformative ideas. Today, we're diving deep into a book that has revolutionized how we think about business success. Jim Collins' Good to Great: Why Some Companies Make the Leap and Others Don't. If you've ever wondered what separates the truly exceptional companies from their merely good counterparts, then this episode is for you. Jim Collins and his research team spent 5 years meticulously analyzing what makes certain companies make the leap from good performance to sustained great results. Their findings are not what you might expect, and they challenge many conventional wisdoms about leadership, strategy, and culture. Get ready to have your mind opened and your understanding of excellence expanded. Before we jump in, if you love discovering insights from the best books out there, please hit that like button, share this episode with fellow bookworms, and subscribe to Bookmint so you don't miss any of our future explorations. Now, let's unlock the secrets of Good to Great.
Chapter 1. Good is the enemy of great. Jim Collins begins his groundbreaking work with a powerful and somewhat provocative statement. Good is the enemy of great. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's the fundamental premise upon which the entire book is built. Collins argues that the biggest barrier to achieving greatness isn't necessarily bad performance, but rather a comfortable level of good performance. Many companies are simply content with being good, and this contentment prevents them from asking the difficult questions, making the bold decisions, and putting in the relentless effort required to become truly great. The research team behind Good to Great didn't set out to find what makes companies successful. Instead, they sought to identify the specific characteristics that allowed a select group of companies to make a sustained leap from good to great and then maintain that greatness for at least 15 years. They started with a universe of 1,435 companies and meticulously screened them down to just 11 good to great companies. These weren't companies that were always great. They were companies that demonstrated a clear transition point, achieving cumulative stock returns at least 3 times the general market over the 15 years following their transition, significantly outperforming even direct comparison companies within their industries that did not make the leap. The chosen good to great companies include names like Abbott Laboratories, Circuit City at the time of the research, before its later decline, Fannie Mae, Gillette, Kimberly-Clark, Kroger, Nucor, Philip Morris, Pitney Bowes, Walgreens, and Wells Fargo. The team then compared each of these companies to carefully selected comparison companies that were good but failed to make the leap to sustained greatness, as well as unsustained comparison companies that made a short-lived leap but couldn't maintain it. This rigorous comparison methodology was crucial for isolating the specific factors that truly differentiated the great from the merely good. Collins emphasizes that the good-to-great companies were not born great, nor did they achieve greatness through a single killer app or a charismatic leader alone. Their transformations were often quiet, deliberate, and built upon a cumulative process. The research process itself was incredibly thorough, involving the analysis of tens of thousands of articles, interviews, and company documents. The team distilled their findings into a coherent framework, challenging common assumptions and presenting a fresh perspective on organizational excellence. The core message of this introductory chapter is a call to action. Don't settle for good when great is within reach. It sets the stage for uncovering the disciplined practices that enable such a profound transformation.
Chapter 2. Level 5 Leadership. One of the most surprising and counterintuitive findings from the Good to Great research was the nature of leadership within these truly exceptional companies. Collins introduces the concept of Level 5 leadership,
a paradoxical blend of extreme personal humility and intense professional will. This finding directly challenged the prevalent notion that charismatic, larger-than-life CEOs were the driving force behind corporate greatness. In fact, the research showed the opposite. Level 5 leaders are individuals who channel their ego needs away from themselves and into the larger goal of building a great company. They are not typically headline-grabbing celebrities. Instead, they are often described as quiet, unassuming, and even shy individuals who exhibit a fierce, almost stoic resolve to do whatever it takes to make the company great. Their ambition is primarily for the company and its success, not for personal fame or fortune. Collins illustrates this with stark contrasts. Many of the good-to-great companies were led by level 5 leaders from within, who steadily built the company over decades, often promoting others into positions of power. Conversely, many of the comparison companies that failed to make the leap often had charismatic, high-profile leaders who, while sometimes generating impressive short-term results, ultimately left a mess or a void when they departed, because the company's success was too intertwined with their personal brand rather than institutional strength. The humility of a level 5 leader manifests in several ways. They attribute success to factors outside themselves, like luck or the contributions of their team, and they take responsibility for failures. They are also incredibly diligent and hardworking, setting high standards for themselves and everyone around them. Their professional will, on the other hand, is an unwavering commitment to achieving the best possible results, no matter how difficult or unpleasant the decisions might be. They are relentless in their pursuit of the company's vision and will make tough calls, even if it means confronting uncomfortable truths or sacrificing short-term gains for long-term greatness. An essential aspect of level 5 leadership is their focus on building something that will last. They are concerned with developing successors and creating a robust organizational system that can thrive long after they are gone. This contrasts sharply with many comparison leaders who, consciously or unconsciously, built empires around themselves, making the company vulnerable once they step down. Collins argues that level 5 leadership is not something one can simply do. It's a fundamental character trait and a deep-seated commitment. It's the first and most crucial element in the journey from good to great.
Chapter 3. First who, then what? Another counterintuitive finding from the Good to Great study is encapsulated in the principle, first who, then what? Conventional wisdom often dictates that a company should first determine its vision and strategy and then find the right people to execute it. However, Collins' research found that the good to great companies did the exact opposite. They first got the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats. Then they figured out where to drive the bus. This principle emphasizes that people are not your most important asset. The right people are. The good to great leaders understood that if you have the right people, they will figure out the what. They are intrinsically motivated, don't need to be tightly managed, and will often adapt and innovate to achieve the company's goals, even if those goals shift. Conversely, if you have the wrong people, no amount of brilliant strategy or vision will save the company. The wrong people will drain energy, cause conflicts, and ultimately fail to execute effectively. Collins highlights several key practices related to first who, then what. Be rigorous, not ruthless. Good to great companies made tough personnel decisions, but they did so with a focus on company performance and the individual's fit, rather than personal animosity. They understood that keeping a wrong person on the bus was unfair to everyone, including that individual who might thrive elsewhere. When in doubt, don't hire. Keep looking. These companies were extremely disciplined in their hiring process. They would rather leave a position open than compromise on bringing in someone who wasn't a perfect fit. This patience ensured that only top talent joined the team. When you know you need to make a people change, act. Once it became clear that someone wasn't the right fit, good to great companies addressed the situation promptly and directly. They didn't procrastinate or hope the problem would resolve itself. Put your best people on your biggest opportunities, not your biggest problems. This is a crucial distinction. While it's tempting to assign your strongest people to put out fires, good to great companies strategically deployed their best talent to areas that offered the greatest potential for growth and impact, thereby maximizing their contribution to future greatness. The first who principle also extends to the concept of team chemistry and collaboration. With the right people in place, a synergistic environment emerges where ideas flow freely, debates are constructive, and collective intelligence leads to superior decision-making. The good to great leaders recognized that their primary role was to build and maintain an exceptional team, trusting that this team would, in turn, create an exceptional company. This chapter fundamentally shifts the focus from individual genius to collective competence as the bedrock of enduring success. Chapter 4. Confront the brutal facts, yet never lose faith. This chapter introduces the concept known as the Stockdale paradox, named after Admiral James Stockdale, who was a prisoner of war in Vietnam for over 8 years. Stockdale observed that it wasn't the optimists who survived the ordeal, nor the pessimists. It was those who confronted the brutal reality of their situation. They were not getting out soon, while simultaneously maintaining an unwavering faith that they would prevail in the end. This paradox is a cornerstone of the good to great company's ability to navigate challenges and achieve transformation. Good to great companies consistently demonstrated a remarkable ability to confront the most brutal facts of their current reality, no matter how unpleasant or difficult these facts might be. They did not bury their heads in the sand, sugarcoat problems, or engage in wishful thinking. Instead, they fostered a culture where truth was valued above comfort, where dissent was encouraged, and where data-driven analysis guided their understanding of the situation. This open and honest approach allowed them to identify critical issues and make informed decisions, rather than reacting based on denial or false hope. Collins outlines several practices that enabled good to great companies to confront brutal facts. Lead with questions, not answers. Level 5 leaders understood that their role was to facilitate discovery, not to dictate solutions from the outset. They asked probing questions to draw out the truth from their teams. Engage in dialogue and debate, not coercion. They created environments where vigorous discussions and even heated debates were encouraged, leading to a deeper understanding of the facts and a more robust consensus. Conduct autopsies without blame. When things went wrong, they focused on understanding what happened and why, rather than who was to blame. This fostered a culture of learning and continuous improvement. Build red flag mechanisms. These companies developed systems that would quickly bring critical problems and uncomfortable truths to the surface, ensuring that vital information wasn't hidden or ignored. However, simply confronting brutal facts isn't enough. The other half of the Stockdale paradox is the unwavering faith that you will ultimately prevail, despite the current difficulties. Good to great companies maintained this absolute belief in their ability to achieve their long-term vision, even when faced with immense challenges or setbacks. This combination of realistic assessment and undying optimism created a powerful resilience that allowed them to push through tough times, learn from mistakes, and emerge stronger. It's about maintaining hope without deluding oneself, fostering a sense of purpose and direction even amidst adversity. This disciplined approach to truth-telling and resilience is critical for any organization aspiring to make the leap to greatness.
Chapter 5. The Hedgehog Concept. In this chapter, Collins introduces the hedgehog concept, a powerful framework for helping good to great companies simplify their complex world into a single, deeply understood, and consistently applied concept. The metaphor comes from an ancient Greek parable. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The fox, with its cunning and diverse strategies, often tries to outsmart the hedgehog, but the hedgehog always triumphs by simply rolling into a ball its one big thing. Similarly, good to great companies simplify their strategy to one overarching concept that guides all their decisions. The hedgehog concept is not a goal, a strategy, or a business plan. Instead, it's an understanding that emerges from the intersection of three overlapping circles. What are you deeply passionate about? This isn't about what you should be passionate about, but what truly ignites enthusiasm and energy within the organization. This provides the motivation and drive. What can you be the best in the world at? This is a crucial distinction. It's not about what you want to be the best at or what you think you're good at, but what you can genuinely be unsurpassed in. This requires a brutally honest assessment of capabilities and a focus on core competencies. And, just as importantly, what you cannot be the best at. What drives your economic engine? This identifies the single most important economic denominator that has the greatest and most sustainable impact on your profitability and cash flow. For service companies, it might be profit per employee. For retail, it might be profit per square foot. Understanding this denominator helps align activities with financial success. The good to great companies were not necessarily diverse or complex in their operations. They honed in on a clear, simple, and deep understanding of these three circles, and then relentlessly pursued activities that fit within this intersection. They often took years to fully develop their hedgehog concept, engaging in extensive dialogue and debate, gathering data, and experimenting. It wasn't a sudden epiphany, but an iterative process of discovery. Once a company crystallized its hedgehog concept, it served as a powerful filter for all decisions. If an opportunity didn't fit within the three circles, it was rejected, no matter how tempting. This disciplined adherence allowed these companies to focus their energy, resources, and talent on what truly mattered, avoiding distractions and becoming exceptional in their chosen domain. The hedgehog concept is about achieving clarity and consistency, providing a profound sense of purpose and strategic direction that underpins sustainable greatness.
Chapter 6. A Culture of Discipline. Building on the foundation of the right people and the hedgehog concept, Chapter 6 delves into a culture of discipline. Collins argues that while discipline is often associated with strict hierarchy and bureaucratic control, good to great companies exhibited a very different kind of discipline, a discipline of thought combined with a discipline of action. This was not a culture of oppressive rules, but rather a culture of disciplined people who engaged in disciplined thought and took disciplined action within the framework of the hedgehog concept. The key insight here is that you cannot have a culture of discipline without first having disciplined people. With the right people on the bus, as discussed in First Who, Then What, who are self-motivated and committed to excellence, the need for excessive external controls diminishes. These disciplined individuals naturally gravitate towards disciplined thought, rigorously confronting brutal facts and clarifying their hedgehog concept. This then leads to disciplined action, where they consistently execute within the boundaries of their core purpose. Collins outlines several facets of this culture of discipline. Freedom and responsibility within a framework. Good to great companies gave their employees significant freedom and autonomy, but within a clearly defined system. This system was built around the hedgehog concept and a set of core values. Employees were empowered to make decisions, but those decisions had to align with the company's overarching purpose. Fanatical adherence to the hedgehog concept. Once the hedgehog concept was established, these companies exhibited an almost fanatical discipline in sticking to it. They said no to countless opportunities that did not fit, even if those opportunities seemed lucrative in the short term. This disciplined restraint was crucial for maintaining focus and building deep expertise. A culture, not a tyrant. The discipline was institutionalized within the culture, not imposed by a single autocratic leader. It became the way we do things around here, attracting individuals who thrived in such an environment and repelling those who didn't. The stop doing list. As important as a to-do list, good to great companies created stop doing lists. They systematically identified activities, projects, and even products that did not align with their hedgehog concept and ruthlessly eliminated them. This freed up resources and energy to focus on what truly mattered. This chapter underscores that true discipline is not about conformity or constraint, but about consistency and focus. It's about channeling energy into a clearly defined area of excellence. When combined with disciplined people and disciplined thought, a culture of discipline becomes a powerful engine for sustained great performance, allowing companies to build momentum and achieve breakthrough results over the long term. It's the mechanism through which the hedgehog concept is brought to life. Chapter 7: Technology Accelerators. In an era often defined by technological advancements, it might seem logical to assume that good to great companies were early adopters of cutting-edge technology. However, Collins' research reveals a more nuanced and surprising truth in technology accelerators. The good to great companies did not view technology as the primary cause of their greatness, nor were they necessarily pioneers in adopting every new innovation. Instead, they used technology as an accelerator of their established momentum, applying it only after they had clarified their hedgehog concept and built a culture of discipline. The key insight here is that technology, when applied without a clear understanding of your core purpose and economic engine, can actually accelerate you in the wrong direction. Many of the comparison companies, eager to jump on the latest tech trend, invested heavily in new technologies without a strategic framework, often leading to wasted resources and failed initiatives. They mistakenly believed that technology alone could solve fundamental business problems or create greatness. Good to great companies, on the other hand, followed a clear pattern. Technology is an accelerator, not a creator of momentum. They recognized that technology could amplify their existing strengths and efficiencies, but it couldn't create those strengths in the first place. First, you get the right people, confront the brutal facts, develop your hedgehog concept, and instill a culture of discipline. Only then, once you have momentum in the right direction, does technology become a powerful tool. Pioneering the application of carefully selected technologies. While they weren't necessarily the first to adopt a technology, they were often the first to apply it intelligently and creatively within the context of their hedgehog concept. They asked, does this technology help us achieve our hedgehog concept better than anything else? If the answer was yes, they embraced it fully. Resist the technology frenzy. These companies did not succumb to the pressure to adopt every new gadget or software. They remained skeptical and disciplined, evaluating technology based on its strategic fit and ability to serve their core purpose. They were deliberate and thoughtful in their technology investments. Collins uses the analogy of a flywheel. Technology can help spin the flywheel faster, but it doesn't start the flywheel. The flywheel starts with level 5 leadership, getting the right people on the bus, confronting brutal facts, and defining the hedgehog concept. Once that initial momentum is established, strategically applied technology can significantly amplify the effects. This chapter provides a powerful corrective to the common belief that technology holds the magic bullet for success, repositioning it as a valuable tool to be wielded with discipline and strategic clarity.
Chapter 8. The Flywheel and the Doom Loop. This chapter introduces two powerful metaphors, the flywheel and the doom loop. These concepts illustrate how sustained greatness is built incrementally through consistent effort, and how failure can result from inconsistent and reactive behavior. The flywheel effect describes the process by which good-to-great companies build their momentum. Imagine a giant, heavy flywheel that requires enormous effort to get moving initially. You push it, and it barely budges. You keep pushing, and it moves a little more. With persistent, consistent pushing in the same direction, the flywheel gradually picks up speed, building momentum until it eventually spins with seemingly effortless power. The good-to-great company's transformations were not characterized by a single dramatic event or a grand program. Instead, they were a cumulative process of applying the principles outlined in the previous chapters. Level 5 leaders instilled confidence and pushed for results. First who, then what, ensured they had the right team. Confronting brutal facts allowed them to make informed decisions. The hedgehog concept provided clear direction. A culture of discipline ensured consistent execution. Technology accelerators amplified their efforts. Each successful step, each aligned decision, each positive result built upon the last, adding another push to the flywheel and increasing its momentum. This process took time, often years. But once the flywheel was spinning, it became a self-reinforcing cycle, generating sustained, great results. The external world often saw the sudden breakthrough, but failed to recognize the immense, consistent effort that preceded it. In stark contrast, Collins introduces the doom loop. This describes what happened to many comparison companies that failed to make or sustain the leap to greatness. Instead of consistently applying core principles, these companies often reacted to poor results with panicked, inconsistent actions. They would launch a new leader, followed by a new program, then a new strategy, then a new acquisition, and so on. Each new initiative, lacking deep thought and consistency with a clear hedgehog concept, would fail to generate sustained momentum. The doom loop often involved new direction, new leader. A failure to get sustained results would lead to hiring a new CEO, who would then launch a completely different strategic direction. New initiatives, new fads. Instead of disciplined action, these companies would jump from one management fad to another, hoping for a quick fix. Churn and inconsistency, the constant shifting of strategies and leaders, created internal confusion, sapped morale, and prevented any single initiative from gaining enough traction to build momentum. The key takeaway is that sustainably greatness is built by consistently and relentlessly pushing the flywheel in a coherent direction, one revolution at a time. There are no silver bullets, no magic moments, only the cumulative effect of disciplined execution of a clear strategy with the right people. The flywheel effect emphasizes patience, persistence, and a deep understanding of the interlocking pieces that contribute to enduring success.